Okay, so let's take a look at this case, the couple of examples. So let's see, there are a couple of examples. Okay, so when you see this example, let's just take a look at a few of them, not all of them. Let's look at a few of them. So if you look at the first expression, they did not use any variable, so they use all the values, not the variable. So, and there's no variable, but 0 is less than 200. So this is what? This is a true, right? And then 200 and less than 100. So this is what? This is a false. So true and false, and the Boolean value for this whole expression is true. I mean the false. And then we have OR case, right? So this is what? This is true. But the thing is, when you have an OR operator, right? And if any one of them is true, you don't. This whole expression becomes true, right? So you don't have to even check the second case, because this is a true, then it's obviously the whole expression basically is true, and etc. But I want you to pay attention to this, the next case. Let's just skip the third and let's look at this fourth case. And you know that this you have what? And you have OR operator, right? You have AND and OR. In this case, AND operator has higher, right? Higher the precedence than the OR operator. So that means if the Python looks at this if statement, if this Boolean expression, they know that AND has a higher precedence. So basically, as you can see, right, this is the same as this. So first, since AND has a higher precedence than the OR operator, so they first compute this, right, and then the result OR x is equal to -1, right? So let's say okay, so let's just give it, let's just use one example. So x is less than 0, I mean greater than 0, and x is less than 100. So if I just say x is 200, right? Is that the 200 is greater than 0, right? But and the 200 is less than 100. So this is not true, right? So this entire expression becomes what? Is false, right? Because yes, 200 is greater than 0, and 200 is less than 100. So this is a false, right? So this AND expression becomes false. And then you have a false, right? And OR, and this one is what? The 200 is not equal to -1, so this also becomes false, right? So the false or false, this entire expression becomes false. Okay? And the next example is that 0 is less than 200, right? So this becomes true. And then you apply NOT operator to true, right? So this entire expression becomes what? False. Okay, so now let's take a look at the last example. So I'd like to talk about De Morgan's law. So you know that it's De Morgan's law tells you how to negate an AND or conditions. Okay, so negate and or, so this and or conditions, right? So when you have a not operator applied to A and B, oh, actually, by the way, I forgot to tell you one thing. Before we just go further into De Morgan's law, I just want to take a look at the previous example. There's one thing that I need to tell you. So basically, when you have multiple or and, like or and operator, right? In the if statement, for example, there's some expressions, and then you have multiple or and an operator. I highly recommend that you use the parentheses. Okay, so like previous example, that x and x and x is less than 100, or x is equal to -1, right? In this case, I highly recommend, even though let's say n has a higher precedence, and then if this is what you want, right? Meaning you want this to be first computed first, and then the result is or with another operand. Even though this is what you want, I highly recommend that you put the parentheses to avoid any confusion. Okay. So whenever you have multiple and or operator in the one expression, I want you to use a parenthesis, okay, to avoid any confusion. Okay, so now let's go back to De Morgan's law. So when you apply a not operator to this and expression, right? And basically then you can distribute this not operator, right? So this becomes a not A, and becomes or. And then what? Not B. Same thing. Not is applied to A, so you have not A. The not is applied to or becomes and the not also applied to B, so it becomes not B. So these two expression is the same, pretty much. Right? So when you look at the example, if the country is not USA and the state is not AK, and then in such a case the shipping charge is $20. So this is like if statement, right? Basically this two statement is the same, because then they use a not, so not is applied to this operator, right? And this becomes what? Not is disappeared and becomes not equal. And then not is also applied to this or statement, right? And that's why it becomes and here. The not is applied to this equal sign. Then this becomes inequality operator. And then not applied to or. So this becomes and, right? And then not applied to this equal operator. And this becomes inequality operator. So pretty much, so not parenthesis, country is USA, or the state is AK, or state is Hawaii, right? If it's not, then shipping cost is $20. So you can see that these two expressions, right? This two if statement is pretty much exactly the same. Okay. So I want you to know De Morgan's law, right? Okay. So let me just end my lecture here.